everybody, thanks for making the time to check in for our livestock market report. I'm Coulter Brown from the Northern Ag Network. Well, the month of May turned out pretty positively for the cattle market. Honestly, it's hard to find a lot to be disappointed about right now. The market's trending higher, the grass is greened up, hay supplies are plentiful, and looks like this could be a pretty good year for cattle producers. Today we're going to talk about what the cattle futures did in May. We'll look at the cash-fed cattle and the historically strong weigh-up market, talk about where the feeder market sits before the video sale season starts, and even spend a bit of time talking about hay and corn supplies. First though, a quick message from the sponsor of our report, the Wyoming Beef Council.
I raise beef here in very isolated Wyoming because at 7,500 feet, my cattle are the best way to take care of the land, the environment, and create wildlife habitat. Plus, this isn't land that would be suitable for growing any other type of food, but my cattle allow me to raise safe, wholesome, healthy, and nutritious, high-quality protein to feed not only people here at home, but people abroad as well.
As you look at the trend of the cattle futures, you can pretty well see where the avian influenza started with dairy cattle. That happened in late March and really did disrupt the market through the spring, add a lot of uncertainty. But May did find a solid rebound as we found more fundamental-based trade over the past month. Tighter cattle supplies and solid beef demand were key contributing factors in the market. Feeder cattle actually made it back to their highest point since March, retaking much of what was lost to bird flu before the market slipped back at the end of the month. Now, the avian influenza is still going to be a factor in the cattle market. Just recently, USDA found beef from a dairy cow did have avian influenza. Now, it didn't enter the food supply, so there's no food safety concern. Has been found in 9 different states in dairy cattle. Now, earlier testing by USDA found that beef inoculated with the virus, when cooked to recommended temperatures, did remove all traces. Back to the futures, you can see that the live cattle did make some solid gains across the board. Feeder cattle more mixed for the month though. They were showing strong gains, but at the end of the month we saw some losses take the shine off the market. The pressure came from China announcing that they would suspend beef imports from the JBS plant in Greeley after beef got to China from that plant that was found with traces of ractopamine. So that did disrupt the market to some degree. It's just one plant, so hopefully we won't see broad-based impacts, but it is a developing story that we'll continue to watch. Still though, we like the direction that cattle futures are moving in. They got support from the cash-fed cattle market over the past month. Cash-fed cattle had been kind of quiet through the early part of the year, but 5 consecutive weeks of stronger prices now. We finished May with live sales averaging $190, a range of $187 to $193, dress deals from $3 to $305, average at $303.5. There was a lot of concern about beef demand as we moved into May. We'd seen the choice box beef cutout kind of drift lower, but then grilling season began. We saw wholesale beef prices rally and consumers are still wanting beef. Even post-Memorial Day, buying continued to perform pretty well for beef. Well, the most recent cattle on feed report came in pretty well where it was predicted at and was supportive of the market, confirming that cattle supplies continue to tighten. On-feed inventory down 1% from last year, the first time it fell below year-ago levels in 8 months. Numbers are expected to keep falling through the summer as placements in April were down 6% from last year, the smallest level for April since the pandemic reductions of 2020. Year-to-date, marketings are down 0.6%. That slower pace is pushing fed cattle weights higher, partially offsetting reduced cattle harvests. Carcass weights have been on a long-term increase. In the year 2000, carcass weights averaged 770 pounds. They're likely to finish this year at a new record high of 880 pounds. A slower marketing pace, reduced cost of gain, and strong fed cattle values are all encouraging feed yards to keep those cattle on feed longer. With the cow herd, though, in its 5th year of contraction, feed yards are going to have to compete more for calves this year, which should aid prices. We are pretty excited about the video sales season that's going to start in June. Looking like prices will definitely be above year-ago levels. 2 big sales in June, of course, Superior Livestock's Corn Belt Classic on the 10th and 11th, and Northern Livestock Video's Early Summer Special on June 20th. Those will give us the first look at the market for fall-delivered spring-born calves as well as the yearlings. But let's take a look at where the feeder market currently sits. Not a lot of feeders moving in May, of course, but a few big sales early in the month. You can see at Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, heavy 4-weight steers from $347 to $398, 5-weights from $333 to $367, your light 6-weight steers $326 to $333. For the heifers at Billings Live, we saw 5-weights $280 to $296, 6-weight heifers $262 to $281, and those 7-weights ranging anywhere from $239 to $260. The weigh-up cow market has continued to stay historically strong. Cow harvest this year is down 13% year to date, as better moisture means producers don't have to cull as hard, and we did cull a lot of cows over the last few years, so there's just not as many to sell. The lower cow slaughter, along with strong prices for lean 90s trim, should help keep values supported through the summer before meeting the seasonal downtrend in the fall. Most of those cow values right now kind of in that 130 to 140 money, very strong. Bulls probably 145 to 165 would catch most of them, but we've seen them even higher than that. Some of these bulls selling for $4,000 a head. Well, we're pretty much wrapped up with the replacement and bred female market for this spring. The cow-calf pair market did find a pretty nice rally. We're talking pairs averaging about $1,000 more than they did last year. Strong calf values, tight overall supplies, and green grass contributing to the optimism. At the public auction yards, we saw those heifer pairs top out at $3,800, 3 to 4-year-olds $3,000 to $3,500, and solid-mouth pairs in Belle Fourche $3,250 to $3,150. The weather forecast does predict a return to El Nino here this summer. Hard to say when exactly that's going to happen, but a return to La Nina could in fact curb demand to expand. So we're still watching that weather, but conditions are largely improved from where they were last year. So that's really helped forage conditions. Obviously things could change dramatically in the summer, but for now the outlook does offer some optimism. Now, the mild winter did allow us to come through the spring with a solid rebound in hay supplies. Actually, as of May 1st, Montana had a record large amount of hay on hand, Wyoming up 170% from last year, and the Dakotas, hay supplies were 50 to 60% higher. That large amount of hay on the market will likely keep prices subdued for the foreseeable future. Depends on how the hay crop works out this year, of course, but looks like it's off to a very solid start. And lower corn prices have greatly benefited feed yards this year, helping them to purchase calves that cost quite a bit more money. Now, 1 year ago, the cost of corn at feed yards averaged $7.60 a bushel. In 2024, we saw it bottom out in March at just under $5.30. We might not see feed costs get a lot cheaper moving forward, but still cost of gains in the low dollar a pound money will benefit feed yards as they try to purchase calves that are definitely going to cost them more this year. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We look forward to catching up next month and telling you how this video sale season is starting to shake out. But until then, take care and stay safe. I'm Coulter Brown from the Northern Ag Network.